Ladies and gentlemen, it is an immense privilege to welcome a stalwart of Indian law enforcement. Retired DGP Vijay Kumar IPS, a name that resonates with strategic brilliance, unwavering dedication, and exemplary leadership. He is best known as the mastermind behind Operation Cocoon, the historic mission that brought an end to the dreaded Veerappan's reign of terror. With a distinguished career spanning over 4 decades, he has been at the helm of some of the nation's most critical security operations. His leadership has shaped India's counterinsurgency efforts, law enforcement strategies, and national security frameworks. He has held several prestigious positions, including Director General of the CRPF, Director of the National Police Academy, and Senior Security Advisor to the Ministry of Home Affairs. His contributions extend far beyond the field. His expertise in internal security, intelligence, and police modernization has transformed the way India combats crime and extremism. A recipient of multiple Presidential Gallantry Medals, his legacy is etched in the annals of Indian policing. Rotary District 3233 is truly honored to host this extraordinary leader as our esteemed guest speaker today. Let's give a resounding round of applause for retired DGP Vijay Kumar IPS.
So we are eagerly waiting to hear from you. The stage is all yours.
My time of reckoning has come, but it is wonderful to be here. All the stardust of Mr. Ravi, Dr. Soumya, and Mr. Dr. Narayan rubbed on me. I am so happy to have shaken hands with you and to a whole lot of Rotarians who welcomed me warmly. I have been associated with Rotary, not as a Rotarian, but you have taken me as an honorary Rotarian almost. Thank you so much for it. I came to talk on leadership in crisis and crisis in leadership, but I myself am facing a crisis which I should tell Governor Mahavir Bothra, Justice Rajeshwaran, who introduced me to Mr. Venkateshwaran Chairperson, and I'm facing a serious crisis. In Tamil it's called Nirkadi. This Nirkadi is near Bangam Adipola Ulladu, because it's a third day and it is just before lunchtime. I believe a lovely lunch is already laid out and some of you are at it. But, and lastly, you are not policemen. This audience is not policemen. Policemen listen to whatever we say, very disciplined, very quiet. You are all disciplined, but your line is different. So I have a silent prayer that I have extreme sympathy for you. I hope it is likewise for me. I remember Arinya Ranna, with whom I share my birthday, 15th of September, had to attend a meeting at 10:30 in the night. He started by saying, Madamo Sittirai, Maniyo Pattarai, Makkalukku Nittirai, Kuttungal Muttarai Engal Sinnathil. He said, I wish I had so much of Navil Valam, Enidam Andalavu Illai. Agave, this prayer is very relevant. I saw the program of awardees. I heard about the previous speakers, Sukhbonanda's speech. I heard about the other gentlemen talking about fullness of life and wellness. I am basically a team man. I want to congratulate the teams behind this beautiful organization and the teams behind them. It's been so wonderfully organized. I heard Dr. Arun spoke about artificial intelligence. I remembered reading about a book called Nexus by Mr. Harari, in which an autocrat, who is the main character, he makes the AI as a defense minister. Adavadu artificial intelligence tanuடைய ராணுவ தளபதியாக அல்ல மந்திரியாக he is making it. I have not read the book, but I am going to read it. I think Dr. Arun shared about, Shankar spoke about what is coming for the future. I will not be getting into too deep subject, I will mention about a leader. I will simplify it with the alphabet LEADER with two caveats. அதாவது ரெண்டு கண்டிஷன்ல, ரெண்டு exception. When we are talking about leadership, I am excluding the women because they are absolute leaders at home and they are surging forward. Only 14% of women have become MPs. என்னை பொறுத்தளவில், I have mentioned in my book also, in house I am thoroughly incompetent and the complete leader is my wife. Once before going for this Veerappan operation, she asked me humorously, you can't fight your chappals at home, how are you going to find this fugitive? But I said, okay, that is a different tradecraft. In house I am incompetent, you are the leader. But at the same time, she was a massive support for me. Throughout my difficult times or challenging times, she was a big partner. So about the role of women, imagine in the future, this is for all the hands, I was very happy to hear 22 presidents out of 88 are women, congratulations. But in the future, more and more of them are going to enter. So much so the men will have to do fast learning about how to handle this MTR podi, Achi podi, Masala podi, and Shakti podi, how to handle things. I am serious about it. Imagine if the excellent people of both the genders are able to make the grade, the overall surge in our progress will be something unimaginable. So, my second caveat, I'll be talking little bit, I will not take too long, I hope. I'll be talking little bit about the war and jungle, because these are two things familiar to me, little bit. In entire speech, if you want me to say in one line, I will say, be a leader you wish you had. நீங்கள் எந்த தலைவரை உங்கள் தலைவர் போல் எந்த தலைவர் உங்களுக்கு வேண்டும் என்று விழுந்தீர்களோ அந்த தலைவர் போல் ஆகிறதுக்கு முயற்சி செய்யுங்கள். A leader leads in danger, otherwise is a manager. That's why in war, even when the king was dead, in many wars the flags were not down. The standard of the flag of the king was kept flying to show the enemy the king is alive. Jahangir, the Mughal king, emperor, from Kashmir, his dead body was brought. His entrails and intestines were respectfully buried in a place in Kashmir. I visited the place. Because Nur Jahan didn't want anyone to know that he is gone. In China, a leader, the emperor, ultimate leader, when he died, cartloads of fish were put alongside the stench to cover the stench, and he was brought to the headquarters that was not peaking those days. Why I say this? Because leader is important. He energizes the whole team. And let's do the alphabets quickly. L, leader is lonely at the top. Sometimes he is like a monkey which is on the upper branches, having dominated the rest, but his bottom or what is behind him and what he is being seen by the people below. A leader cannot hide his faults. This is something very important. He may try to look important, pompous, big, but what he is really will be known by the man below. Talking about monkey, I must say that lion-tailed monkey you would have heard of. It has a habit of grinning at the senior or the boss monkey. Like in our system also, the boss, whatever he says, sometimes we grin to make him feel good. We used to have in police what is called the special branch inspector as SP. They are our eyes and ears. I never encourage the special branch inspector to tell me, sir, you are very good, you are great. The moment he starts saying that you are doing good, I will put up my finger and give a smile. That's the end of it. But you should learn to smile. That's very important. Because once we are 35, I believe on an average we smile only 15 times. A child smiles 400 times. This is what I am told. I don't know how many times I myself have smiled, but I've got a sense of fun. I made my job absolutely not funny, but fun-filled. We used to have in CRP loads and loads of tabals, that is dark, very boring task, musty smell. So I took my whole team and I could requisition an aircraft, Avro, very slow moving, from Delhi to Bombay, the normal aircraft 1 hour, 20 minutes or so. This will take 6 hours. Fine. because the aircraft is chartered by the DGCRP. My wife refused to get in, though she was entitled to. She said, it is your perk, your privilege, I don't want to come. I used to take a whole lot of my teammates. Yeah, that was the nature, little reticent and recluse. Whole team of people, and then we had good fun, disposing of all the important discussions were in the air, some promotions were granted in the air. So that is what I mean by fun. But if you're in Japan, if you try to make a meeting full of fun, it won't be taken correctly. They're very serious. But at the same time in Japan, I mentioned it in another Rotary conference, I remember, maybe in Coimbatore, there is something interesting concept called, if you're sleeping in the meeting, in a serious meeting, you're allowed to sleep. It's called Inamuri, I-N-A-M-U-R-I. I hope, I didn't allow Inamuri in my meetings, and I made sure that I took the Inamuri after the meeting, not during the meeting. So, in the animal world, there is a hierarchy. Be like a lion in crisis. The lion is generally believed to be slow and lazy, but when the pride is in trouble, lion really rouses himself into action. Therefore, but actually tigers are the right animals to mention in our area of the land. But in Tamil Nadu, tigers were not very popular those days. So it was more of lion which was mentioned. SP means Superintendent of Police in Uttar Pradesh is called tiger. When the tiger comes on mic, it's a tiger, tiger calling, and everybody will shiver and tremble. But in Tamil Nadu, there are no tigers. You know the reason. Because as protecting Madam Jayalalitha, I was trying to secure her against the tigers, LTTE, and I am going to mention about Prabhakaran. Though I didn't accept his doctrine and he was on the other side, there is something interesting about his leadership. So, in Harvard Business Review, they talk two types of leadership in a particular review. One is the front stage, other is the backstage. Front stage, where the leader is absolutely visible, dynamic, pushing things, triggering action. And the backstage, where there is more of empathy, compassion, and follow-up action. But I am talking about three types of leaders. One of them is Prabhakaran, who is deep behind in the trenches, never appearing in the front line. Yet he was able to energize. Though the negativity of the whole action was of a different nature, I want to present him as a leader in his own way because of his ability to motivate sitting away from scene of action. That is one type. The other type, somewhere middle, was Mr. Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, nobody knew where he was in the battlefield. He used to be somewhere in the middle, but nobody could identify him. He is the middle type, not in the backstage, not in the front stage, somewhere near the green room. The frontline leaders, one example is Alexander, another example is Napoleon. Napoleon sometimes shifted to the middle stage, but Alexander was always up front. When nobody could go up a difficult area in Afghanistan, he said, please follow me. Incidentally, follow me is the motto of Israel Defense Forces, one particular group. The leader does not say, go there, he says, come with me, I will take you. That is an important thing. When I am talking about leaders should evoke loyalty. When I talk about loyalty, absolute lifelong endurance of a bird called hornbill. Lifelong partnership, husband and wife. There is one black vulture, lifelong partnership. The fidelity for a leader. I was extremely lucky to whichever place I went, even the man who was a dissident, who was a naysayer, who was a negative man, who was a cynical, I could win him over because I addressed the problem straight. I never encourage backbiting. I'll open this thing and pat. And if you want to bang in private. I didn't have much occasion to bang them. There is another type of leadership, the horses practice. Why I mention about horses? Because we are intimately connected with horses. As IPS officers, we have to learn to control the horses. In fact, among the leadership courses, equine leadership courses are very popular, especially in the West. They charge a hell of a lot of dollars to make you sit on the horse. Many of the corporate leaders who are already so successful want to make one more conquest by trying to master, and many of the corporate bosses fail there, whereas the juniors pass. So horses don't, they're rank agnostic, they are hierarchy blind, they don't care. They understand a man's fear, his phobias, and they adjust. So why I mentioned horses was, In National Police Academy, we had a very intimate relation. I personally had my phobias in jumping into water from a height. That is one thing good, to have phobias and not to pretend that you are fearless. To be ability to control fear is more important than to pretend that you are fearless, because one day the lily liver it will disclose itself. So about horse also, I want to mention something. I mentioned about ants in the beginning, if you remember, the 22 presidents. The horse, when it goes, it is not the alpha horse, the male horse which may be in command. The alpha mare, that is the female horse, which is not so strong as the male horse, but it is more wise, sagacious, and practical, pragmatic than the male horse, which can be the guide. In the elephant group, herd, it is the auntie elephant which is the most responsible. Not actually the mother, but mother's elder sister, who takes care of the latest kids. I mentioned to you the need for laughter. I mentioned to you about the appropriateness. When talking about E, I'm talking about empathy. This is a very important point because you're all successful leaders in many different fields. Empathy, beyond a point, may not be the right thing, because you should not get too much into the other man's shoes, because you will lose your own perspective. I think it's absolutely clear there is no need for elucidation. They give an example of a fireman. I also give the example the opposite. The fireman is a man who doesn't know whether he's going to come back alive from that, whether it is going to be his last mission or he's going to have one more mission. When he goes into the mission, the man who's just coming out of the house after rescuing a victim, he and this man look at each other, exchange glances. Sometimes he pats, no verbal communication, just a pat. That empathy is so much between them, it seems that when they come back home, there is no affection or empathy or extra sentiments to share with the wife and family. He is completely exhausted. This is from Harvard Business Review, which I'm very fond of reading once in a while. Same thing sometimes happens to a nurse who is totally committed. Therefore, it is said that little controlled empathy is required and compassion is okay. At the same time, the other study of HBR, Harvard Business Review, says between two management MBAs, it is not the empathy, it is opposite. This man says, I've got a new latest car. This is the vehicle I've got. The other man feels the anti-empathy. There is the opposite side of empathy. Next point I want to mention about that alphabet I told you. A, abandonment of old ideas. Throw out the old ideas. That is, for a dynamic leader, you should know what to jettison and what to embrace. When you say abandonment of old and பழையன கழிதலும் புதியன புகுதலும் என்று சொல்லும் பொழுது, it doesn't mean abandonment of some of the corporate leaders, younger leaders, second generation, educated elsewhere, they come back, they want to throw out the practices of the father, and perhaps the father too if required. That is not the abandonment I'm talking about. Not abandoning the father and the founder. Next is, I mentioned about the double role of the front and back. Then I'll come to the final E. That E stands for the eyes. Leaders should have open eyes. When I talk about eyes, I will talk about other faculties of the body also a little bit. These are all things which are already known to you. But I am more of a reiteration. I experienced it myself. I benefited from this, sometimes consciously, sometimes unknowingly. Therefore, I am summing it before you. The leader should have absolute hope. There is a book by Viktor Frankl. If any of you got a time to read it, I read it 3 times. I think I was so much moved, almost tears. It's like reading the book of Job in the Bible. This man, young man, his wife is separated from him in the camp, Nazi camp. She is gone. She dies of pneumonia. All his near and dear killed. He is a lone survivor in that group. He is carrying the human waste multiple times. Sometimes cannibalization, having to eat the human flesh, happens in those camps. He survives all that. What he says is, he used to imagine, I will remember the experience, the distilled experience of this camp stay, and how will I lecture when I come out of this camp? What lecture what lessons I will learn, how will I give it to the community. He was planning his future lectures in a death camp. In a concentration camp, if Viktor Frankl can do it, I think I was immensely impressed. I never found a depressing moment. Whenever somebody said this cannot happen, many people said this mission will not be complete, but I did not lend them my ears. But you should lend your ears for all voices, is another suggestion. And a leader will carry a charisma. I have seen multiple leaders across the world. One thing, including actors, including our CM MGR, including actor Shivaji Ganesh, the altitude didn't matter, the color of the skin didn't matter, the way they dressed didn't matter. Kamraj, for instance. There was certain charisma, there was certain energy. You can smell a leader from far away. The men will know it. The mouth is important. What you say as a leader is important. Every word counts. You have seen today's viral world, because of making one small faux pas or a wrong statement, chief executive officers lose their jobs. This happened in US many times and in other places also. Now I'm happy to say I've come to the last point, and that is to say, revising whatever I told you, is to tell you, be a leader you wish you had. That is the end of my speech. I'm immensely grateful to you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay Kumar, IPS, for sharing your invaluable insights and experiences. Your stories of courage, resilience, and leadership have not only inspired us, but have also given us a deeper understanding of what it means to lead in the face of adversity.